Coming up, the Mandarin is back and he has a wonderful new friend with him. Stay tuned as we break down Marvel's new Disney Plus show, Wonder Man.
So, what's this big audition you were talking about?
It's a huge opportunity. I'm auditioning for Wonder Man.
Did you hear about Wonder Man? I need to be in this movie.
Sorry, you crazy.
Welcome to the Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. I am your host, Arturo Padilla, and with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. Before we get started, do not forget to subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and hit that bell. That way you know when these videos drop. Tex, how you doing today, buddy?
Oh man, howdy everybody, howdy Arturo. We've got a lot to talk about today with Disney's new Marvel Spotlight series. We got to say all that too, because Marvel Spotlight is like that side project that they're doing. It's that side label. It's like the Touchstone Pictures.
Yeah.
It's like the Marvel Black era of
Yeah,
like
their signature thing, right?
Yeah,
their
of
Marvel
like
Knights of Jace, you know?
yes, it's exactly it. And so yeah, we've got Wonder Man. Surprise drop with Disney. They've been promoting it. It's not like they haven't been. Like there have been, like, it's been all over social media, but in terms of like trailers and stuff on TV, I don't think I've seen a lot of commercials. But this is all to say, yeah, we got all 8 episodes of the series at once. This is kind of like, usually when that happens, it's it kind of like sets you up for two things, right? It sets you up for the thought of like, oh, they just kind of dumped this on here. It's not a weekly show that they promoted as a big deal, so no one's gonna watch it, or it's gonna be awful, or whatever, right? And unfortunately, that's kind of what happened to Ironheart. Ironheart dropped. It was all 6 episodes at once. It was fine. I don't know if you ever saw it, Arturo, but like,
No, I didn't bother, honestly.
yeah,
I wasn't
like it,
interested.
and that's kind of like, unfortunately, the same situation that Wonder Man's in. It's like, you kind of have to see it on there, and then you're like, oh, maybe I will, or maybe I won't watch it. And this is all to say that, like, thankfully, like, Arturo and I did watch it. It's mostly full cards on the table here, right? It's like we did see this because we're the buddies at the Morgue, and we want to do this for you at home. If you're like, oh, thinking, oh, should I check this out? Should I even, that's our whole deal here at the Morgue. We're here to help you through these things. We're here to steer you through this scare world of movie and TV releases.
Yep.
And this one we just watched as like okay, let's see if we need to talk about this one. And thankfully, yeah, right.
Yeah, big time. Tex couldn't have said it better. We didn't know what we were walking into, because previous Marvel shows really have led to nowhere, and we were like, what's gonna happen with this one?
Yeah.
Is it just being dumped just because they have to get rid of it, and start a new slate for tax purposes or something? I have no idea.
Yeah.
But fortunately and luckily, we did spend some time with Wonder Man, and I do not regret it one bit. Tex, I really, really enjoyed the show, and particularly because our 2 leads, right? Yahya Abdul-Mateen and Ben Kingsley, who play respectively Wonder Man and Trevor Slattery, aka the Mandarin, aka Man of Many Faces. And I had so much fun just following these 2 gentlemen in every episode, that this whole season just flew by. These episodes fly by, dude. They're about 25 minutes. You get about 8 of them.
Yeah,
And
it's TV. Like, it's
yeah,
straight up
TV,
like
TV. Yeah.
it's kind of like She-Hulk, in that, like,
Yes.
She-Hulk Attorney at Law was also like a TV show that it was good weekly, but I think, seeing it in that binge release, I think Disney also was kind of like, oh, it won't have enough to, and that's the thing, like, that's also something kind of addressed from the outside, is like, yeah, I don't think there's enough like, if it were week to week, right? Like, I think we
Yeah.
would have saw the premiere and we would have been like, yeah, it's fine. Like, it's a good show. Like, we were like, yeah, it was a good episode of TV, but it's this binge drop really did help. And usually you and I, Arturo and I don't really, like, when it comes to binging, it's tough, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, oh, this would have benefited for giving us time to watch it weekly, like say like a Fallout, or with Marvel's own stuff like Your Neighborhood Spider-Man or X-Men. Like, give us enough time to soak in every episode. But here, it's like no, it's just two. It's a story about two actors, right? One of
Yeah.
them just happens to formerly be the Mandarin, and one of them just happens to have powers, and that's that's the story of Wonder Man. You have Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Simon Williams. He is an actor who's had no luck getting any kind of role, and when we see him getting like bit parts in the show, he kind of ruins it for himself by
Yes, he
this is
does.
his character flaw. We see him like
He's so annoying, Tex.
he unfortunately, yeah, right. Like they
Yeah.
kind of they introduce him with like very annoying kind of traits of like he won't accept any of the writing. He has a lot of these creative ideas where he takes his character. He clearly thinks about the characters too much, and you're like so he kind of looks like he at first he's like a pompous actor type, right? You're like, oh, he's not exactly pompous in personality, but like when it comes to his craft, he's really kind of
Hoity-toity, it's like,
yes,
what's my motive? Like, what's my motivation? It's like, dude, you're a waiter with one line.
yes, it's like do your job, and that's exactly what the whole idea of that first episode is. It's great, but as we get to know him through these 8 episodes, like no, he's clearly just like he's afraid to like he's been hiding himself the whole time, and so he's been retreating into his characters. And this is all just stuff we learn over the course of the show, and it's great that like these binges are just little adventures in his life as he tries to get the role of Wonder Man, which is the name of the titular hero of the movie that he watched with his dad as a kid. And now that they're rebooting it, this wild director Dave Von Koch wants to like bring it back to life. It's funny. Marvel actually revealed the runtime of the Wonder Man movie. Like in their universe, it's apparently 3 hours and 75 minutes. So it's just a
Three
little fun.
hours and 75 minutes?
Yeah, just as like a little fun fact, because they like
Hilarious.
they put out a thing online about like, oh, when the show dropped, they're like, oh, tickets for the Wonder Man movie are now on sale, and it put the runtime and everything. It was like runtime 3 hours and 75 minutes. But
Hilarious.
this is the whole show. It's like it's Simon trying to get the role of Wonder Man, and through the way he's got help from like Arturo said, Trevor Slattery, who was famously the Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
He's an actor, love.
Yeah, and like we haven't seen him since Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which funny enough, Daniel Destin Cretton, who also created and directed this, also did Shang-Chi, and
That's
more
where that name looked
importantly,
familiar.
more importantly, Arturo, he's also doing Spider-Man Brand New Day. So
Okay.
I think right, even like now getting into the review, getting into the meat of things, I want to just
Okay.
start really. This is all table setting to say, hey, maybe you should watch Wonder Man.
Yeah. Like Tex was saying, the show at its core, it's very simple, right?
Yes,
As Tex said, it follows two actors just trying to get a job. That's pretty much what it is. Two actors just trying to get some work in Hollywood. And one of them is an ex-terrorist, and one of them is a superhero. And
right.
what's so unique in this universe is they have this thing called the Dormant Clause, which doesn't allow any superpowered beings to be on any movie or TV show on any set, period. They can't act, they can't be on any set doing anything. So that's where this show also has its conflict, because it's like, hey, I have superpowers. I cannot be seen using these superpowers. And luckily, this show isn't really about all that. It's not about
Yeah,
his superpowers or his action and his abilities using these powers. They're very secondary in this show. This show is about two dudes trying to get a job and their relationship and how they bonded, how they came from like opposite ends of the spectrum, and one of them was even Trevor Slattery had other things
One
that
of
he
them was
needed
a
to do.
terrorist.
Yes,
Yeah.
one of them was a terrorist who pretty much, got broken out of prison, and he was arrested by the Department of Damage Control. And they want him to pretty much spy on Simon Williams because they know, hey, he's super powered, but we need more evidence to bring him in and blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah, all
It's
this stuff.
great, right? It's a great bit of like, and that's the other thing too. Like, while this is a small show within the
Mhm.
Marvel cinematic world, right? Like, it's also giving you some good building blocks
Yes.
for whatever's coming next, right?
For
Because
whatever, yeah, for
yeah,
whatever is coming next.
because yeah, this isn't like a clear cut, watch Wonder Man to get like the Wonder. It's not a Wonder Man will return in Avengers Doomsday. Like, it's
Correct.
not that kind of show, right? It's not that kind of thing. But what it is it's setting up bigger ideas. Like Arturo said, the Department of Damage Control. We've seen them in different aspects of the Marvel TV shows, right? We've seen them in She-Hulk. We've seen them in Miss Marvel. We've seen them now here as like it's this group who's like, yo, we've got super powered beings just doing whatever they want out there. And it's all like, it's all sparked off what the movies and Civil War and all that stuff. And it's funny that like this is all happening now right before we get to mutants, right? And it's like they never say what Simon is, right? They never say like what kind of power, it's never explained if like
How he got his
it,
powers or anything like that.
yeah, because
Yeah,
it's
we
not
don't know.
it's not important in the context of the show, but it's interesting in that context of the wider Marvel universe, right? In that,
Mhm.
like, oh, maybe this is how mutants are going to be treated in the because we've already seen, like, that's the thing, like they can't be actors. So this is
Mhm.
clearly like a, they can't be on set, they can't be part of the crew because they're considered dangerous. So that's already like this is all just interesting stuff we see in this. But once again, like Arturo said, that's all just stuff you can see on the outside. Importantly, the TV show itself, the
Mhm.
story about these two guys just trying to get a job is so good, right? Like I like it's a quick, easy breezy 8 episodes. Like Yahya Abdul-Mateen and Ben Kingsley are just like, yo, they're pros at what
Dude,
they
they're
do, right?
so
Like
good. And
they're
and
good.
and you know what's so good about them and about how this show is constructed? It's actors acting. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like actors doing their craft while doing their craft. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's
It's
exactly it.
it's so meta too on top of that, but it works so well because they just have such great chemistry, them two. And Ben Kingsley, man, that he is so awesome. He's so good.
Yeah.
I freaking love Trevor Slattery. We need more of Trevor in the Marvel universe. I think the Marvel universe will thrive with more Trevor. And Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, man. I remember watching him in Candyman. Wasn't really impressed by him, honestly. So when I saw him pop up as Wonder Man, I was like, all right, cool. Let's see what's up, and I'm glad I did. He really impressed me. He definitely has levels and layers to his acting talent that wasn't seen in Candyman. So I'm glad I was able to actually witness his awesomeness, and I hope to see him down the line in more things because that dude is talented. And again, just the pair, just them two again, like just give me a whole other season, just them two going
Yeah,
on a buddy adventure, man. That was just so awesome.
that's what's so funny about this too, right? Because it's like, there are like plot details we can talk about here, and there are things we can talk about the Von Koch start, but it's kind of like I don't know if like talking like story stuff is even that necessary, right? Because it's
It
like,
isn't.
oh,
No, it isn't.
it really like Arturo said, it really is just the journey of these two actors trying to get the job, and there's a lot of moments where like through that you learn more about who Simon is as a person. You get these looks into his origin. It's really played out like I think it's like it really is like a comic book. Really, it is interesting, like kind of laid out like that, where it's like it's kind of like you bought a volume, right? And you're like, this is just the
6 issue
self-contained.
arc, bro. That's it.
Yes, it's exactly it. This is a 6 issue miniseries about Wonder Man, and it's just a small story about him trying to be an actor, and then and it's resolved at the end of it. It's resolved, and perhaps we'll see Avengers
Yeah.
again, but this is
It's
also
usually the kind of one shot you would see to introduce a new hero in the
yes,
universe or a new
yes,
version of the hero. You know what I mean?
yes.
So I'm glad I brought this up. What do you think was the reason, Tex, for dropping Wonder Man now, right? Um,
I
is there do you think we'll see them in the future? I don't know. You know, it's weird. This is why it's so odd, especially having this conversation. And hilariously enough, Von Kovacs, right, the director in the show, played the a corrupt politician in Superman. So
yeah,
like my brain for a second kind of blended the worlds together, and I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
yeah,
But
yeah.
like I don't know the reasoning for the timing of the show. I feel like this would have worked. Maybe I don't even know because earlier on they were so gung ho and focused on Vision and Scarlet Witch that you really had no other room for heroes besides
Yeah.
the primary ones that you saw on Avengers, you know? And then it was only after they let go of the Scarlet Witch stuff and the Falcon and Captain America stuff where we started seeing, you know, more newer heroes, you know, with Kamala Khan
Yeah.
and, you know, Hawkeye and all that stuff. But I'm just curious, Tex, as to your opinion as to the timing of this and what you think this will mean for Marvel going forward, if anything at all.
I see. Okay, so there are some context that needs to be filled in. Like I think the showrunner straight up said like Disney was considering this like for a tax write-off, but
Mm,
they convinced them to release it. And I it's kind of like in that with that in mind, it's also kind of like I think they just dropped it to drop it, you know? And unfortunately, I think that's the thing. Like, I think they knew like the way like they did have screeners and stuff. Like, so just peeking behind the curtain of how all that works. Like, they released it to the press, and like press like early critic reviews and early critic response was positive, right? They were positive that it was going to be a hit with like people who reviewed these things, and but they made sure that they held back on embargoes until release date, which is like, oh, okay, make sure you don't say anything about what you've seen until the show
mm,
comes out. And usually what that means is like, oh, when a studio says not to like let you talk about anything until a movie comes out, it it's usually the implication is that they are not confident in the product itself. They're not confident in it not landing for one reason or another. And that's kind of unfortunately the whole vibe about Wonder Man's release, is that they just weren't confident about it. They did drop a lot of like little tweets and stuff like that. They've been all over, like if you're on
yeah.
Instagram, like I've seen ads and stuff all over, like in just reels. So it's not that they're not putting the promoting machine behind it, but it's like it's also not a high profile project to warrant that kind of stuff, right? It's not this isn't a Thunderbolts, this isn't a theatrical film, it's not even, it's a show about a new character who's never been seen before. And the only tie to the only direct tie immediately to the rest of the MCU is Trevor Slattery, and it's like, okay, that's a lot to take in when advertising it to the people at large. So it releasing now, I think it's just kind of like it's the same thing with Ironheart. They kind of had this project done and they're like, okay, well, let's just finally get it out before we kind of flip the table with Doomsday and Secret Wars, right? And
Mhm.
so, and then after that, they're gonna have a clean slate to do whatever they have next. Hopefully, if they take the response they've gotten here, they see that people liked it, and then greenlight a second season. I hope that's the case, because for as much as Disney and Marvel so far have messed up with their shows to the point where
Mm,
they've done so many, they all kind of flow into one another, and
yeah.
you don't really remember all the characters, you don't really remember everything that's happened. They're not used in the movies as much as you'd think. So it's like, they kind of, this is the tail end of a long experiment, right? That we've seen over many, many years. This is like the final show of like their kind of old era
Yeah,
and
man.
of them just making shows, making 6 to 8 episode shows and just kind of release them like that. Now we're in the vein of, you know, perfect kind of transition to this real quick, Arturo. Like we had the first teaser trailer for Daredevil Born Again season 2. And I feel like that's indicative of the new kind of direction they want to go in. Of like if a show is a hit, then they will make a season 2. And I think I'm hoping that with the success of this one, Arturo, that it's dropping now because they're in that mindset of them being open to the idea of renewing it for a second season. You know, this isn't just like the old Disney would have been like, okay, drop this as a miniseries.
Mhm.
We're going to bring him back in a future movie
Yeah.
somewhere down the line. Right. But I think now, in that where they are clearly separating television from movies, I do think that its timing now means that hey, they are receptive to the idea of continuing, just as like they were with Daredevil, right? Daredevil Born Again, they kind of made it. They made it old regime halfway, tossed that out, right? And
Yeah.
like new regime came in. It was like, okay, we got to change it, and then they kind of dropped it like that. With remember because they had signed up for like what was it 20 episodes at first? Remember we started
Yes.
talking about it forever
18
ago,
episodes.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they only released 9, and it's because everything that happened. And then when that happened, they're like, okay, now we can work on season 2 instead of just trying to do it all at once and then go with the flow and let's see if it works. I think now, and just like saying all that and capping off what I'm saying here, it's just like I do think that Wonder Man's a small show. It is. I think it's got some standout episodes. I think my favorite was like the Chamoy one. I think just referencing that, people know what I'm talking about. Then there's the Doorman episode, which people loved. I didn't. Oh, I don't know what did you think of that, Arthur? What did you think of the Doorman episode?
The doormat episode was really cool because of the concept of it.
Right.
Because it also gave you some really cool background information on this doorman clause, which I had tons of questions of when you first hear about it in the show when he's going up for an audition and he
Mm-hmm.
has to sign these NDAs and this doorman form. And I really like the fact that I think I really enjoyed it more because Josh Gad was just awesome in it.
Right.
And Josh Gad doing his Olaf Summer song in the club was hilarious. But yeah, no, dude, honestly, man, every time Ben Kingsley and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II were on screen, I think that was my favorite part, just because the chemistry between them two, the back and forth, and like it really is it's not your typical, like, superhero show simply because there's so much
Yeah.
dialogue. There's so much dialogue-driven narrative that it stands out because you need 2 very strong leads in order to pull this off
Yeah.
because of the amount of dialogue and back and forth interaction there is between the 2 main characters, and I think these 2 leads, they freaking killed it, dude. I can't think of, um a time when I was watching this show that I was not enjoying it because of these 2 guys. And it's it's funny though, because you brought up the Marvel Spotlight, right? And we spoke about it as like their signature kind of like Marvel Knights brand or whatever. I think they can keep doing Marvel Spotlight stuff if they keep it small, 8 episodes, 30 minutes. You can explore other heroes and you can see if those heroes are a hit or miss, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, this show didn't work out too well. We won't really expand on this character. Well, Wonder Man was a hit. Let's see what we can do with him in like a bigger setting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the way to go because like the other shows, the problem with them was that they're like I think they tied too much into everything, right? I think it's it's funny that this is one of Marvel's best shows and it's because it's not really a Marvel show, right? Like it's like
Hmm.
yeah, it's got the Department of Damage Control in it. Yes, it's got a guy with powers in it, but the guy only has like one fight and it's not like a comic book fight either. It's like a fight in an alley. There's no big villain
Yeah.
climax at the end of it. There's nothing like that. It really is just like a character study kind of show. And you know it might seem up its butt for that, but no, it's just like a fun show. But this is all to say that those other ones tried to connect too much with everything. They became homework, right? They became like,
Agreed.
you need to see this in order to enjoy them in the new movie. In this here, this is like Arturo said, it's the opposite, right? It's like, oh, if you like the characters here, maybe they'll show up again in a different comic. And that's exactly what it is, right? Like, I think the other spotlight they did so far was what? Werewolf by Night was the
Werewolf by
first
Night.
one.
Yeah.
And that was another great example of like, just tell a story, tell a
Yes.
self-contained story, get it
Yeah.
out of the way, get just to show off a character, show off characters. And then if we see him again, cool. If not, then that's totally fine. And I think with Wonder Man, I'm in that boat of like, it comes to it has an ending, but it's the kind of ending that's like, it feels complete. Like it feels like
Yes.
an ending, right? Like it feels like,
Yes.
oh, this is the end of the Wonder Man story. Like it's like, yes, it's the whole will they have future adventures kind of ending, right? It's like teasing future adventures, but
Yeah.
it's also the
And if
kind
they
of like,
do, great. If they don't,
yes,
they finished it in a way where it's like, wow, that was a really cool story, man.
yeah,
But again, Marvel has a tendency to get ahead of their skis.
yes,
And
yes,
hopefully this won't be one of those occasions. I'm glad that this is working out in terms of positive critiques online and all that stuff.
yeah,
So that makes me really happy about this. But we go back to the whole doomsday of it all, right? Like, what are
yeah,
they doing with that? Or do they even know what they're doing with that, even afterwards? And the Secret War stuff. So, like, a lot of the stuff that Marvel's doing now, they still have to prove to me that they can still win the box office and that they can still pull off a proper phase, if you call it. But I hope, you know, I don't know, Tex. Like, this was a good show.
yeah,
I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It's a pay for it, but it's hard to say go pay for Disney Plus for this because it's
yeah.
so like
That's
short and so
yes.
like self-contained and doesn't really mean anything. Like if this was like the beginning of the next phase and Robert Downey Jr. decided to show up at the end, it'd be like, yo, you gotta pay for this, bro. You know what I
Ye
mean?
That's exactly it, right? Like, that's the perfect way to do it, and I will just, cap off my end of things by just quickly agreeing with you, Arturo. Like, it definitely is like it's a pay for it if you already have Disney Plus and you're
Yeah.
already, like, a big Marvel fan, right? Because
Yeah,
it's
go
like, yeah,
watch it. You're gonna
it's a
enjoy it.
good show that happens to be Marvel, right? And it's like, but would I tell you to subscribe to Disney Plus? No. Would I tell you to borrow someone else's Disney Plus for it? No,
Nah,
right?
not really, no.
Because it's also the kind of story that if you don't see it, I I
And I'm glad you said that because again,
I'm
that is
sorry. I'm
on
sorry.
Marvel, right,
I'm
Tex?
sorry. Yeah, yeah,
That's on Marvel. That is Marvel's fault for making the character and the show feel like this because of their
yeah,
nonsense in the past and how much they were like, "Oh, you're going to have to watch Scarlet Witch in WandaVision." And these people are still talking about Vision in a new show,
yeah. What
right?
was it? I think it's like Vision Watch or Vision
Yeah,
Quest.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
So,
it's one of those,
something
right?
yeah,
It's
something
Vision.
clever and funky like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Vision something. I still can't, that's another one. You're exactly right. Where it's like, why are they doing this?
What are
Why
we
are they?
doing here? You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like that's what I'm saying. Like the Marvel Spotlight stuff, that's great if you follow in that path and release these cool, one shot with different kind of directors and creators behind it. I'm totally down for that. But this is the Marvel machine that always wants to be ahead of the game and one up their competition. And their competition's doing a pretty good job of making sure all their ducks are in a row right now. So I
yeah,
have my concerns still about where Marvel's going. But again, all that said, this show is a wait for it. You can wait until this drops on YouTube. At some point, it'll probably be on the episodes on the Disney YouTube or whatever it is. But folks, I'm still very concerned as to the trajectory of Marvel and where they're going. If
yeah,
you haven't heard our Doomsday talk and the countdown, go check out that episode. We talk about the Avengers Doomsday trailer that just dropped and where we think this is all headed to. Go check that out in the archives. Go like, subscribe, and share there. And buddies, go check out Wonder Man on Disney Plus if you already have a subscription.
Yeah.
Chances are, if you're a Marvel fan, you got a subscription,
Yeah,
you'll
it's
have
like
a good time. You'll have a good
you
time with the
probably
show.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you have kids, you probably have Disney Plus already. So like,
Yeah. But also, I'm glad you mentioned kids because this show is not really for kids.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a kid show. It's definitely
too
not.
wordy for kids to even like follow. They're gonna get
Yeah,
bored
and
with this
there's
thing.
and
first
that's
episode.
that's also the other part of it, right? There's no like Marvel-y action, right? It's
Yeah.
not like it's not a Marvel show.
It's
Like,
a thinking man show.
yeah, and it's like as I'm thinking about it here, wrapping this conversation up, it's like it's like is it too up its own butt because of that? There is that fear of like oh, maybe we liked it more because it's like it's really meta about like it's Hollywood stuff.
I
But even
think so because you and I are like movie nerds, and this is
yeah,
like
and it's like
definitely behind the
so
scenes kind of movie
so
stuff, like the studio.
yeah,
I
please
enjoyed
keep
this
that in
studio
mind with
so
it. When,
you know,
yeah,
sorry.
like keep that in mind when you're hearing our review, you're watching our review here, folks. Like that is something. You and I do like that stuff, so maybe it did give it an edge. But
Love
even that,
behind the scenes kind of stuff, man.
it's just like if you want a good show about two dudes just trying to get acting jobs, like honestly, like it's just a good show.
Better than Entourage, right?
I mean, yeah.
All right, buddies. And with that, thank you so much for listening. This has been The Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. I am your host, Arturo Padilla, and with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. A big shout out goes to Delvirus for all the artwork you've seen in front of you throughout the years. And a big shout out goes to you guys for listening. We have all these episodes and more wherever you get your streaming on the podcast, and on YouTube. You get all the videos on there. Do not forget to hit the bell, hit subscribe, and those thumbs up every time you see one of these videos. And most importantly, buddies, do not forget it is a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.